Hello everyone and welcome back to another video, and this time I'm genuinely very excited. I think you can already see why. This GTX 970 works. It runs Firestrike, it passes Firestrike, and it overclocks. I genuinely didn't think, when about a year ago I started making these videos, started getting into overclocking a bit more seriously. I actually never thought I would end up making this video, but I'm making it way sooner than I thought. So, this is my first working e-power, and it works very well as far as I can tell. So, if there's anyone watching who did e-powers before or who knows their stuff, they're gonna cringe at this for several reasons. One, the position that the Z-power is on is completely weird. Usually you, let's take this other half working E-power, usually you stick them on like this, not like this. I have done that because, well, if I stick it on like this, I have my power connectors over here, and I don't want that, and if I stick it on like this, I may have my power connectors up there, but yeah, I really couldn't find a way to solder to that without it being a pain. So I decided, well, I'm just gonna bite the... I don't know, what's the saying? I don't remember it. I'm just gonna put long wires onto it, knowing that it will negatively affect my voltage performance. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, the thing is, even on the PCB itself, if you measure your voltage at your VRM and then behind the core, you're going to see that behind the core the voltage will be lower. That's because your power plane, like where the power goes through, there's resistance, and resistance makes your voltage drop. Now, if you have a lot of these cables, that's a lot of resistance that the power has to go through, and that means, well, you're gonna lose a bunch of voltage. And I mean, that's true for everything. And I expected something like 100 to 150 millivolts of drop, but actually, this just drops 30 to 50, which is completely acceptable. That's like, I think I've measured 50 millivolts drop from the VRM to the core on like a normal GTX 480. I think I've measured it on that one once, and I think that's what it had. So this doesn't really have a voltage drop issue, which, that's really cool. My soldering is crap. You can see this connection right here is actually broken. You can see all that's not attached? Yeah, that's one of my ground connections going. And then the other ones don't really look that great either. If you look closely at it, they don't really look that great, because my soldering is indeed very, very crappy, and I've done this... How much time did I put into making this? Like maybe 1.5 hours? Maybe? I don't know. So, yeah, I just used this, that's what I've left. There's 14 AWG gauge whatever cable that I got, chopped it up into length that I thought would work, and then soldered it on. So I put the positive output just where the inductors used to be, and then the ground connections, I couldn't really find great ground points, so I just used the screw holes, which is a bad idea. Because yes, screw holes are ground, but they are not really meant to transfer power. So usually they're not that great in terms of how well they're connected to the ground plane. So yeah, but it seems to work out. Again, only that bit of voltage drop, which I think is completely acceptable. And yeah, it's kind of honestly, it's hard to wrap my head around the fact that I now have a working e-powered card. This thing was dead. I never saw this running before. It had a dead V-Core VRM. And now it works. A voltage control and all that stuff. And this is honestly very, very cool. Making an e-power... And e-power, actually, just making the e-power was one of my goals, but then actually e-powering a card with it. is one of the one of the end goals. Like one of the things that I always wanted to do, and now I did it, and it's just really cool. I love this thing. Honestly, I was just thinking, well, I'm gonna test it on this card. Let's see if it works. Like, I was fully expecting this wire job to do absolutely awful. But now it's doing so well. I really don't want to disassemble it. I want to keep it like I'm gonna fix that connection, like gonna try to make more connections or fix them up a bit more. But this thing works so well, I don't want to take it apart again. Like, this is so cool. And like, if you take a look at the back, yeah, like I've made these two connections just to be, because like it's just wires holding it on. So I was thinking this might add some rigidity, which it does. Like the card just, like I'm not touching the e-power and it's standing up by itself. So yeah, I still don't want to stress the connections. Like you see this one broke in half, probably because it's just half a screw hole where it attaches. But yeah, this is so damn cool that this works. And like this VRM has no problem powering this. Like I had this completely uncooled and it just got a tiny bit warm, having this card under full load, like going through Firestrike and looping heaven. Because like, yes, both of these cards used to have a 6-phase, like this is a 6-phase, this used to have a 6-phase, but like this is for GTX 580, this is a GTX 970. I've heard that when you really push these things, they do pull a lot of current, but so far, like I've set, so right now, the e-power is set to 1.26 volts, which means that under load I get something like 1.21 to 1.23 volts behind the core, which is what the card like runs stock at. I think 1.2 volts is Maxwell stock, at least the palette did run, and this one actually ran unstable at stock clocks when the e-power was still set to 1.1 volts. So yeah, because this thing runs almost 1300 megahertz out of the box, and I have, like, I did just one Firestrike run, and that one passed at a 1466 megahertz, which is like 175 offset on the core. And then like a 200, like the memory doesn't seem to be that strong on here, so it's just a 200 offset. I just did very, very short tests with this, like, yeah. But, yeah, if I'm gonna tinker with this a bit more, like make the connections better, maybe put some capacitors on it. Then I'm gonna put my water block on this. Like this should, yeah, this is the same spacing that all the other cards have. My water block does work with this. I'm gonna put this on water, and maybe we're gonna see 1500 megahertz core. That would be a nice thing to see. I guess I could just pump the voltage. Like this core, actually, I've looked into GPU-Z. This thing has a better than 6.9% ASIC quality, which is nice, you might say, but that's really low. That's a really low ASIC quality. But yeah, like this is clocking better than my 980 Ti, which does have a rather decent ASIC quality. And yes, I'm comparing a GM204 to a GM200, which is not a fair comparison, but like, if the thing holds true, like I think I've heard that low ASIC quality cores scale much better with voltage, but are like at lower clocks at stock voltage. So this thing having literally the lowest better than percent voltage ASIC quality I've ever seen on any GPU, this is gonna be really, 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 really good with voltage. I think, I hope. So yeah, this thing actually works. Like, it's still kind of hard to believe that I actually have an e-powered card now. Like, it's really kind of, yeah, like I started getting into like modding like, was that even a year ago? I'm really not sure. When did I do my first soldering hard mod thing? I think that's less than a year ago. like from completely beginner to having a working e-powered card in that amount of time, like, I think that's really damn quick. Though I am very interested in the thing, so yeah. And that's like, yeah, I love this thing. I love that it works. I'm gonna run this a lot. Yeah, like there's some more final touches. Like I still haven't put the fan on this. Like I was saying, I've plaster dipped the back. Like when I show the back again, you can see that there's plaster dip on there now. Yeah. So I love it. Not only did my e-power work out, I have an e-powered card now. And the really cool part is like this never worked before. I got this broken. It was dead. It was literally like scrap. Like this card, like my friend and me, we like bought a box of graphics cards together. In that was this, the Palette 970, my GTX 480, my HD 7950, and some more cards that he has kept. I think there was a 280 in there that he actually threw away because it had a pretty major short. There was a 9800 GTX, I think, that he gave to a friend or something. Like, there were a couple other cards in there also. And initially, I got the 480 and the 7950, and he kept the two 970s, hoping they would work. Like, we had no idea if they worked. They were all untested. Turns out, my 480 just had a dead fan, and my 7950 also just had a dead fan and an exploded MOSFET, but that one failed open, so it was fine. Yeah, turned out the two 970s, like the Palette one had a short circuit on vCore. This one, I still don't know what was wrong with it. It works now. I think there was just something wrong in the control circuitry of vCore. So yeah, like the Palette card, that one worked briefly until I tried to repair it fully and then broke it. So that thing's gonna get e-powered next. Oh, well, actually, I think the next e-power is gonna be this one. But that Palette 970 will also get e-powered at some point. The only problem is like this one has the memory VRM still working, the Palette has not. So yeah, I would need an e-power with like both rates working, or I would need like 2 e-powers for that card. But yeah, the other card also ran for a bit until I broke it. This one, yeah, like this one is here to stay. I don't think I'll be tearing this down again. I think this e-power is gonna stay on here. And once I find, yeah, like I think I'm just gonna keep buying dead GTX 580s and turn them into e-powers. Because like, as far as I can tell, like this VRM is really, really doing well with this card. Like, you could say, yeah, it's a reference card. It's even using downgraded MOSFETs from the reference thing, which is a bad thing. But like, this was powering a 580. This was powering a GF110. This is a Maxwell, and not even the flagship core. Like, this VRM has no problem handling this. I think this. Well, that's kinda my stupidity of placing the e-power like this. I think placing an LN2 port on this would cause problems. So yeah, there's that. But chilled water is gonna work on this. But yeah, like this VRM, I think is totally liquid nitrogen capable of powering this. So yeah. I mean, the thing that's next for this is I'm just gonna run this a lot. So the heatsink I had this on is this one from the Phantom GTX 580, like that thing, like what's left of it. This heatsink, even though it just has two of its 3 fans, because for whatever reason they have 2 fan plugs, and I only have like these 2 fans on this one plug, and then the third fan is on another plug. And well, I only have 1 plug on this card. So I removed the third fan, which is actually like, I think I would have to remove it either way because clearance. But yeah, this heatsink is doing really well. Like at first I thought the temperature sensor is gonna be out, but then I remembered that Madness from the LTT Discord also used a very similar heatsink to this, like also from my Phantom card. I don't know if it was a 580 on a GTX 960, and it was also really, really, really cold. Like this heatsink is immensely powerful. So this card ran at like 34 degrees full load at the voltage I set. Like, yeah. That heatsink is really good. Like, I wonder what water cooling is gonna do. If it's actually gonna make a difference. Like, because at some point you can't really get lower, because your ambient temp like is a hard limit. You can't get lower than ambient. So yeah. And also, of course, the other thing about this card is now then if you go into GPU-Z, you will see that under full load, this thing reports to consume 11 watts of power. Because, of course, the VCore VRM is no longer there. I powered it. So everything the card sees for power consumption is the memory and then like the minor things on the PCB. It doesn't see this. This is not there for the card. Like, for as far as the card knows, there's just power coming from somewhere. Which is like really cool. Like there's no power limit on this. And I have voltage control. I have a really good heatsink for that. Like I love this thing. And actually now I think I'm gonna put this thing on there again because it was kind of weirdly sitting in the PCI Express slot. But yeah, this thing is absolutely awesome. Like, I love this thing. It turned out so great. And I'm just gonna keep saying this, I think, for the rest of the video. Like, it is such a great thing. Like, I remember watching, I think it was Bullzoid's first e-power ever, like his GTX 570 that he e-powered with one of the pre-made proper e-powers from EVGA, I think. He ran that LN2. Yeah, he did. And I think he had a much worse problem than I had with voltage drop. Like, he was using some really, really thick wires. So I don't really know if it was like difference in soldering quality, a difference in the choice of wires, just difference in how the e-power worked. Maybe it was also just current draw. Like a 570 draws a lot more current than this. Maybe that's why I have so little voltage drop under load. But yeah, like I remember watching that video of his. I hope I don't forget to link it in the description. But yeah, like if I forget to link it, just look it up, like GTX 570 e-power from Bullzoid. Like, I will remember watching that video and be like, that is so cool. I wanna do that one day, but I think that's gonna take a long time. And here I sit, having done this thing. And I absolutely love it. Like, I've never done well, I've done chilled water, but I've never done something below 0 degree cooling. But yet I have e-powered a graphics card. Like, I'm not gonna call myself a proper extreme overclocker until I've done liquid nitrogen at least once. But like this, yeah, this really makes me feel like I am currently going up the leagues. Like, not many people have done this, but this is so awesome. I love making these. Like, I love the entire concept of this. And now I have my own, and it's working really great. So yeah, I love doing this. I'm gonna keep making these as best as I can. I think I'm actually gonna look into getting this thing to work now. Because having this e-power, which like this has memory already working, it's core that I have to get to work. If I get core to work on this, I'm gonna e-power the can I e-power the other 970 and do SLI? I don't think I can, because the SLI connector is kinda... you could just about fit a bridge in there, I think. But I don't have enough power connectors. This is already using every power connector I have on my power supply. I would need the second power supply for this. And it's currently in my X58 system, which I have to make a video about that too. I love this system. It's the first time that I've used an ASUS motherboard, and I genuinely liked it. And had nothing to complain about. Which I haven't used it a lot, but I really like the Rampage 2 gene. I'm also gonna make a video about that. Really like that board. Really like that system. Like I'm gonna keep playing with that too. But like, I mean, graphics cards are my thing. That's like my favorite thing to do and play with. Like that's graphics cards. Everything else, yeah, that's fun too. But graphics cards is my favorite thing. And like doing things like this, that's just awesome. Yeah, and if I can get this thing to work, I don't think e-powering the other 970 would be that much worth it. I'm gonna put this onto the 460 SE. I think I'm gonna put this onto the 460 SE if I get it working. I can't guarantee anything if I get it working. But yeah, this thing is working. And I think I'm just repeating myself at this point. Like, this is so awesome. I'm so happy. It's the 30th. How do you say that? 13th of December? But like, this is like Christmas early for me. And it worked out without a problem. Like, I just hooked it up and it worked. Like, I mean, at first I just connected one ground, one V-core, and like turned it on and tested if the core was getting warm. And then like, yes, it was getting warm. I measured the voltage. Yes, it is at the voltage that I want. Then I hooked up free ground, free V-core, put it into the system and was just checking. Does it give an image? And it just gave me an image. I literally just hooked this thing up and it worked. It just worked. I got an image. And actually in that state, I did run Heaven on it. And then I attached all the other cables and then put the proper voltage in, and now it can like properly bench. And yeah, this thing is so awesome. Yeah, but I don't want to waste your time anymore now. The video's long enough. I've praised this thing enough times now. I don't know. It's like midnight right now, or 30 minutes past midnight, probably. Should I just run this thing some more? Or should I play Cyberpunk 2077? That's the other thing. And it's absolutely killing my PC. Not the graphics card though, it's the CPU. Like, my 8700K is having a much harder time than my 2080 Ti right now. But enough of that. Yeah, video's over. Thank you all for watching. I think this is the coolest video I've made yet. This is just, yeah. And I'm gonna look into getting a video of this running, showing you how it runs. So yeah, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And until see each other next time. Goodbye.